There's a powerful verse in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 1, verse 5. It says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations." Now, you might hear prophet to the nations and think, well, that's not me. I'm no prophet. But let's pause and really soak in the first part of that verse. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Imagine that for a second. Before your parents met, before your name was chosen, before the world even knew you existed, you were known by the creator of the universe. This isn't just a casual, oh, I know, asterisk of asterisk, them kind of knowing. The original language suggests a deep, intimate, and personal knowledge. It means every detail, every quirk, every strength, every fear, all of it was seen and understood from the very beginning. This single idea can change everything. It means you are not an accident. You're not a random collection of cells. Your existence is intentional. Your life wasn't an afterthought. It was a forethought. God, in his infinite wisdom, looked through all of time and said, "The world needs you. Right here. Right now." He saw your potential, your unique gifts, and the specific light only you could bring to the world. Then the verse continues, "Before you were born, I set you apart." The phrase "set apart" means to be consecrated, to be made holy for a special purpose. Think about it like a master artist setting aside their finest brush for the most important part of a masterpiece. You are that brush. You have been uniquely equipped and designated for a specific role that no one else can fill. It's not about being better than anyone else, but about being uniquely you for a unique purpose. This purpose isn't always some grand, globe-trotting mission. For Jeremiah, it was being a prophet. For you, it might be being an amazing parent who raises children with kindness and integrity. It might be being a teacher who inspires a love of learning. It could be being a friend who always shows up, a coder who builds helpful technology, or an artist who creates beauty that soothes the soul. Your nations might be your family, your workplace, your neighborhood, or your online community. Your purpose is woven into the fabric of your daily life. So when those feelings of doubt and purposelessness creep in, when you feel unseen or insignificant, hold on to this truth. You were known before you were formed. You were set apart before you were born. Your life has an inherent, God-given purpose. It's not something you have to frantically search for or earn. It's something you get to discover and walk in, day by day. It's about trusting that the one who knew you from the beginning also knows the path ahead of you. It's about leaning into who he created you to be, with all your talents and passions. You are not a mistake. You are a masterpiece in the making, known, loved, and set apart for a beautiful purpose. Start believing it today. Have you ever felt like you're not good enough? Like you're too young, too inexperienced, or just don't have what it takes? If you've ever had that feeling, trust me, you're in very good company. Today, I want to talk about a powerful story from the Bible. The story of a young man named Jeremiah. When God first called Jeremiah to be a prophet, to speak his words to the people, do you know what Jeremiah's first reaction was? He said, "Ah, Sovereign Lord, I do not know how to speak. I am too young." Does that sound familiar? It's that voice of self-doubt we all hear. I can't do this. I'm not ready. Someone else would be better. Jeremiah was looking at his own limitations. He saw his age, his lack of experience, and he felt completely unqualified for the huge task God was giving him. And isn't that what we do all the time? We get a great idea. A dream starts to form in our hearts, or an opportunity comes our way, and immediately we start listing all the reasons why we can't do it. We focus on our weaknesses. We compare ourselves to others who seem more prepared, more talented, or more confident. We let the fear of inadequacy paralyze us before we even start. Jeremiah's response is so human, so relatable. It shows us that even people chosen for great things have moments of profound self-doubt. But here's the beautiful part of the story. God's response to Jeremiah's doubt is what changes everything. God doesn't say, "You're right. You're too young. Let me find someone else." Instead, God reassures him. He says, Do not say, I am too young. You must go to everyone I send you to and say whatever I command you. Do not be afraid of them, for I am with you and will rescue you. This is the core message for you and for me. Our qualifications are not the point. Our age, our background, our current skill sets, those things don't limit God. When God calls us to do something, He doesn't look at our resume. He looks at our heart. The real qualification is not our ability, but our availability. It's our willingness to say yes, even when we're scared. God's promise isn't that we will be perfect, but that He will be present. He says, I am with you. That's the game changer. Think about it. What is that thing in your life right now that feels too big? Is it starting a new project? Applying for a job? Having a difficult conversation? Maybe it's stepping into a leadership role, or simply sharing your story with someone. Whatever it is, that feeling of, I am too young or I am not enough, can be a powerful barrier. But God's promise to Jeremiah is also a promise to us. He provides the words when we don't know what to say. He gives us the strength when we feel weak. He equips us for the journey He calls us to. The story of Jeremiah teaches us that our purpose is not found in our own strength, but in God's. It's about shifting our focus from our inadequacies to His infinite power. When we feel unqualified, that's often the perfect place for God to show up and do something amazing through us. It's in our weakness that His strength is made perfect. So, the next time that voice of doubt whispers that you're not enough, remember Jeremiah. Remember that your youth, your inexperience, or your fears are not deal breakers for God. They are simply the starting point for a journey of faith, where you learn to rely on Him completely. What is God calling you to do today that you feel unqualified for? I encourage you to take that first step in faith, trusting that He is with you and will give you everything you need. Thanks so much for watching. If this message resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content to inspire your journey. Or what if you fail? It's a powerful force, and it can hold us back from so many amazing things. But what if I told you there's a way to face that fear? A promise that's stronger than any doubt. There's a verse in the Bible that has always been a huge source of strength for me, and it's from the book of Jeremiah, chapter 1, verse 8. It says, Do not be afraid of them, for I am with you, and will rescue you, declares the Lord. Let's just sit with that for a moment. Do not be afraid, for I am with you. To really get the weight of this, let's look at the context. This was said to Jeremiah, a young man who was just called by God to be a prophet. And his reaction, it was pure fear and self-doubt. He basically told God, I can't do this. I'm too young. I don't know how to speak. People won't listen to me. Does that sound familiar? It's the same script our own fears play for us, isn't it? We feel unqualified, inexperienced, or just plain not ready for the challenges ahead. Whether it's starting a new job, moving to a new city, having a difficult conversation, or stepping into a new role in our family or community. Jeremiah was looking at his own limitations. He saw all the reasons he would fail. But God wasn't looking at Jeremiah's limitations. God was looking at His own unlimited power. He didn't say, Don't worry, Jeremiah. You're actually a great speaker. No, He said, I am with you. The solution to Jeremiah's fear wasn't boosting his self-confidence. It was establishing his God confidence. The focus shifted from I can't to He can. And that's the message for us today. God knows we're afraid. He knows we feel weak and inadequate sometimes. He's not surprised by our fears, but His presence is the answer to that fear. The promise isn't that the scary situation will magically disappear or that we'll suddenly feel fearless. The promise is that we won't face it alone. He's with us. Think about what I am with you really means. It means His wisdom is available when we're confused. His strength is there when we feel weak. His peace can guard our hearts when chaos is all around us. He's not a distant God watching from afar. He's an ever-present help, walking right beside us through the valley, through the fire, through whatever them is in the verse that's causing you fear right now. And the verse doesn't stop there. It continues, ... and will rescue you. This isn't just about emotional support. It's about deliverance. It's a promise. A victory. It doesn't mean the journey will be easy. Jeremiah's life as a prophet was incredibly difficult. He faced opposition, ridicule, and persecution. But God was faithful to his word. He rescued him time and time again. The rescue might not look the way we expect. Sometimes God calms the storm. Other times, he calms his child in the midst of the storm. The rescue might be a change in our circumstances, or it might be a change in our hearts, giving us the endurance and courage to stand firm. The ultimate rescue is knowing that our final victory is secure, no matter what happens here on earth. So, what's that thing you're facing right now? What's that fear that's whispering lies to you? I want you to take this verse and hold it up against that fear. Jeremiah 1:8. Do not be afraid of them, for I am with you and will rescue you, declares the Lord. This isn't just a nice, comforting thought. It is a declaration from the Lord himself. It's a promise backed by the full authority and power of the Creator of the universe. When you feel that fear creeping in, remind yourself of this truth. Shift your focus from the size of your fear to the size of your God. Don't let the what-ifs paralyze you. Instead, stand on the what is, and what is that God is with you. You are not alone. He will see you through. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I hope this encouraged you. If it did, maybe share it with someone who needs to hear it too. Drop a comment below and let me know what fears you're facing and how this verse speaks to you. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this. Have you ever felt like you're just waiting for something to happen? Waiting for a sign? Waiting for a promise to come true? Waiting for that breakthrough you've been praying for? It can be tough, right? It feels like you're stuck in this long, drawn-out winter, and you're just wondering, God, did you forget about me? There's a really cool, short story in the book of Jeremiah that speaks directly to this feeling. It's in the very first chapter. God has just called Jeremiah to be a prophet, which is a huge, intimidating job. Imagine being told you have to speak God's words to kings and nations. Jeremiah is feeling young and inadequate, but God reassures him. Then, God asks him a simple question. Jeremiah, what do you see? Jeremiah looks, and he says, I see the branch of an almond tree. Now, you might be thinking, an almond tree? What's so special about that? Well, this is where it gets fascinating. In Hebrew, the word for almond tree is shaked, and the word for watching or being vigilant is shoked. They sound almost identical. It's a clever play on words. So when Jeremiah says he sees an almond tree, Shakedod replies, You have seen correctly, for I am watching, shoked, to see that my word is fulfilled. It's like God is saying, yes, you got it. Just like that almond tree, I am watching over my promises to make sure they happen. But there's even more to it. The almond tree is special in Israel. It's one of the very first trees to blossom after winter. While other trees are still bare and look lifeless, the almond tree bursts into beautiful white and pink flowers. It's the first sign the spring is coming. It's a symbol of new life and hope, a promise that the cold, dormant season is ending. So when God points to the almond tree, he's not just making a pun. He's giving Jeremiah Ndusa powerful visual. He's saying, I know it might look like winter right now. I know things might seem bleak and nothing seems to be happening. But I want you to look at the almond tree. It's the first to wake up. It's the first to show signs of life. And just like that tree is the first promise of spring, I am actively watching over my promises to you. I haven't forgotten. I'm not asleep. I am shoked, vigilant, alert, and ready to act. Think about that in your own life. What are the promises you're holding on to? Maybe it's a promise for healing, for restoration in a relationship, for a new opportunity, or just for peace in the middle of a storm. It can be so easy to get discouraged when we don't see immediate results. We look around and everything still looks like winter. But God is inviting us to see things differently. He's asking us, what do you see? Are we focusing on the bare branches and the cold ground? Or are we looking for the almond tree? Are we looking for those small signs of life? Those little glimmers of hope that show God is at work? The almond tree reminds us that God's timing is perfect. It doesn't bloom in the middle of winter, and it doesn't wait until the middle of summer. It blooms at just the right time, heralding a new season. In the same way, God is watching over His word to perform it at exactly the right moment. He's not late. He's not early. He is always on time. So today, if you're feeling weary in the waiting, be encouraged. God sees you. He hasn't forgotten His promises to you. He is like the watcher who never slumbers or sleeps. He is actively and vigilantly working behind the scenes to bring His word to pass in your life. Look for your almond tree. Look for that sign, that small piece of evidence that spring is on its way. Hold on to ope, because the God who makes the almond tree blossom is the same God who is faithfully watching over you. Jeremiah chapter 1, verses 13 and 14. It's a short passage, but it's packed with meaning that still resonates with us today. So, let's set the scene. Jeremiah is a young man, just called by God to be a prophet. This is a life-altering responsibility, and God is giving him a series of visions to prepare him for the difficult road ahead. This is the second of those visions. The scripture reads, "The word of the Lord came to me again. What do you see?" "I see a boiling pot," I answered, "and it is tilting toward us from the north." The Lord said to me, "From the north, disaster will be poured out on all who live in the land." Let's break this down. First, the image itself. A boiling pot. What does that make you think of? For me, it brings up ideas of pressure, intensity, something about to overflow. It's not a gentle simmer. It's a roiling, bubbling cauldron. This isn't just a minor issue. It's a situation at its boiling point, ready to spill over with immense force. Tihitison. And the contents are agitated and unstable. This imagery perfectly captures a sense of impending, unstoppable crises. Now, notice the direction. The pot is tilting asterisk from the north asterisk. This isn't just a random detail. In the context of ancient Israel, the north was a direction of constant threat. Great, powerful empires like Assyria and later Babylon were located to the north and northeast. Whenever a major invasion was coming, it almost always came from the north. So, when Jeremiah sees this boiling pot tilting from the north, it's a direct and terrifying prophecy. God is showing him, in a very vivid way, that a powerful enemy is about to descend upon the land of Judah and pour out destruction, just like the scalding contents of that pot. This was a message of judgment. The people of Judah had turned away from God, and this coming disaster was the consequence of their actions. It was a harsh message, and it was Jeremiah's job to deliver it, no matter how unpopular it made him. So, what can we take from this today? Well, first, it's a powerful reminder that our choices have consequences. The idea of a boiling pot can represent the building pressure of unresolved issues in our own lives, or even in our societies. When we ignore problems, when we turn away from what's right, that pressure builds and builds until eventually it spills over. But there's another side to this. God didn't just show Jeremiah the disaster and leave it at that. The entire book of Jeremiah is a call to repentance. The warning wasn't just to scare them, it was to wake them up. God was giving them a chance to see the danger, to turn back to Him, and to change their ways before it was too late. The boiling pot is a warning sign, a divine alarm bell. This vision also tells us something about how God communicates. He uses everyday images, a simple boiling pot to convey profound spiritual truths. He meets us where we are, using things we can understand to explain things that are much bigger than us. He's not trying to be confusing. He's trying to be clear. The danger is real, it's imminent, and it's coming from a specific direction. For Jeremiah, this vision was a confirmation of his mission. It solidified the difficult truth he had to preach. It wasn't his own opinion. It was a direct message from God. This gave him the courage to speak truth to power, even when it put his own life at risk. In our own lives, we might not see visions of boiling pots, but we all have those northern threats, those challenges, fears, or looming problems that feel overwhelming. This passage encourages us to face them, not to ignore them. It reminds us to pay attention to the warning signs in our lives and to turn to God for guidance and strength. And just like God was with Jeremiah, He promises to be with us, giving us the strength to face whatever challenges are tilting in our direction. Have you ever thought about your first love? Not just a person, but that initial passion, that fire you had for something you truly believed in. God remembers his first love for us, and he asks if we remember ours for him. The book of Jeremiah, chapter 2, verse 2, says, I remember the devotion of your youth, how as a bride you loved me and followed me through the wilderness, through a land not sown. What a beautiful and powerful image. God is speaking to his people, Israel, reminding them of a time when their love for him was pure, passionate, and unwavering. Imagine a young bride so in love with her husband that she would follow him anywhere, even into a harsh, untamed wilderness. She doesn't ask for a map. She doesn't demand comfort. Her trust in him is absolute. Her love is her compass. That's how Israel first followed God after he rescued them from Egypt. They had just witnessed incredible miracles to plagues, the parting of the Red Sea. Their hearts were filled with awe and gratitude. They clung to God like a bride to her groom, stepping into the unknown desert, a land with no crops, no settled towns, just the promise of his presence. Their devotion was their sustenance. This verse isn't just ancient history. It's a mirror for our own spiritual lives. Do you remember when you first came to faith? That initial excitement, that feeling that you had discovered the most precious treasure in the universe. Maybe you couldn't stop reading the Bible. You talked about God to anyone who would listen, and prayer felt like a direct conversation with your closest friend. You would have done anything for him, gone anywhere he called you. That was your devotion of your youth, your bridal love. But what happens over time? The journey through the wilderness of life can be long and hard. The initial excitement can fade. The world with its distractions, worries, and temptations starts to creep in. Our love can grow cool. Our devotion can become a routine, a habit, rather than a heartfelt passion. We start looking for comfort and security in other things, in a land that is sown, a place we can control, instead of trusting God in the untamed places. God sees these in his heartaches. He isn't angry. He's like a husband who misses the affection of his bride. He's asking, where did that first love go? The good news is, it's never too late to return to that first love. This verse is not just a rebuke, it's an invitation. God is calling us back to that intimate, trusting relationship. He wants to rekindle that fire. How do we do that? We start by remembering. Take a moment to think back to the beginning of your faith journey. Remember the joy, the peace, the sense of purpose you felt. Remind yourself of God's faithfulness, how he has carried you through your own wilderness moments. Then we must repent, which simply means to turn around, turn away from the distractions and idols that have stolen our affection. Turn back to him. Let's make a conscious choice to put God first again, to pursue him with the same passion we once had. It means choosing to spend time with him in prayer and in his word, even when we don't feel like it. It means choosing to obey him, even when it's difficult. Love isn't just a feeling, it's a series of choices. Just as a marriage needs constant effort and intentionality to thrive, so does our relationship with God. God remembers our first love for him, and he longs for it. Let's not let that beautiful memory be the end of the story. Let us ask him to restore to us the joy of our salvation and to renew a right spirit within us. Let's choose to be that bride again, following our loving God wholeheartedly into whatever wilderness or promised land he leads us to, trusting that his presence is all we truly need. Let's fall in love with him all over again. Today, I want to talk about something that hits close to home for a lot of us. Something beautifully and powerfully captured in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 2, verse 13. It says, "My people have committed two sins. They have forsaken me, the spring of living water, and have dug their own broken cisterns that cannot hold water." Let's break that down. Imagine you're walking through a scorching desert. Beyond thirsty, your throat is dry, and you're desperate for a drink. Suddenly, you come across a fresh, bubbling spring pool, clean, life-giving water, endlessly flowing. This spring represents God, the source of all life, all joy, all peace. It's an infinite supply of everything we truly need. But then, the verse tells us about a strange choice. Instead of drinking from this perfect spring, The people turn away. They decide to take on a massive project. They start digging. They pour all their energy, their time, and their resources into carving out their own private reservoirs. Now, on the surface, this might seem smart. Even so, I'll create my own supply. I'll be in control. It's the ultimate DIY project for life. We do this all the time, don't we? We dig cisterns of career success, thinking if I just get that promotion, I'll be happy. We dig cisterns of relationships, believing if I can just find the perfect person, my life will be complete. We dig cisterns of wealth, material possessions, or social status, convinced these things will finally quench our inner thirst. But here's the tragic part of the verse. These cisterns are broken. They have cracks. They can't hold water. All that effort, all that digging, and for what? We pour our hopes and dreams into these man-made containers, but the satisfaction just leaks out. That new job brings new stress. The perfect relationship reveals its imperfections. The money and things never quite fill the void we feel inside. We're left just as thirsty as before, only now we're also exhausted from all the digging. We end up with mud, not living water. The first sin mentioned is forsaking the spring. It's an active turning away from the one true source. The second sin is digging the broken system. It's the attempt to replace God with our own inferior solutions. And it's a double tragedy because we're not only rejecting the perfect, but we're also settling for something that is guaranteed to fail us. So what's the good news here? The spring is still flowing. The invitation is always open to return. It's about recognizing the futility of our own digging. It's about admitting that our self-made solutions are cracked and leaking. It's about turning back to that spring of living water and drinking deeply from the source that will never run dry. He's not asking us to dig harder or find a better shovel. He's simply inviting us to come, to drink freely, and to be truly satisfied. It's a powerful reminder to check what we're depending on. Are we trying to fill our lives from our own broken cisterns? Or are we connected to the true, inexhaustible spring of living water? Think about that this week. Have you ever felt like you're talking to a wall? You try to get a message across. You try to share something important, but it just doesn't seem to land. This isn't just a modern frustration. It was a deep-seated issue even in ancient times. The prophet Jeremiah experienced this profoundly. In chapter 5, verse 3, he cries out to God, saying, "O Lord, do not your eyes look for truth? You struck them, but they felt no anguish. You consumed them, but they refused to take correction. They've made their faces harder than rock. They have refused to turn back." Imagine Jeremiah's heartache. He's speaking God's own words to the people, warning them, pleading with them, but their hearts are like stone. God is searching for truth, for faithfulness, for anyone willing to listen and live justly, but he finds a people who are stubborn, who ignore discipline, and who refuse to change their ways. They become so set in their disobedience that even when they face consequences, they don't connect the dots. They don't see it as a call to return to God. Instead, they just harden their hearts even more. This passage is a powerful mirror for us today. It asks us a searching question. When life gets tough, when we face challenges or setbacks, how do we respond? Do we pause and reflect? Do we ask if there's something we need to learn or change? Or do we just get frustrated, blame others, and stubbornly press on in the same direction? God's discipline is never meant to crush us. It's meant to correct us, to guide us back to the path of life and blessing. His eyes are always looking for truth in our hearts, for a willingness to be honest with ourselves and with Him. Let's think about the image Jeremiah uses. Faces harder than rock. A rock is unyielding, immovable, and insensitive. When our hearts become like this, we lose our ability to feel, to respond, and to grow. We become spiritually numb. We might go through the motions of religion, but there's no real connection, no genuine repentance, no desire for transformation. God desires a relationship with people whose hearts are soft and responsive, who are quick to listen and eager to obey. The people in Jeremiah's time had forgotten their covenant with God. They had turned to empty idols and lived for their own selfish desires. Their society was filled with injustice, dishonesty, and immorality, from the leaders down to the common person. And the scariest part, They were comfortable with it. They didn't want to be corrected because they didn't want to give up their comfortable sins. So, what's the antidote to a hard heart? It starts with humility. It's admitting that we don't have all the answers, and that we need God's guidance. It's choosing to see correction not as punishment, but as a loving father's training. It's cultivating a habit of self-examination, of regularly bringing our lives before the light of God's word and asking Him to show us where we need to change. The good news is that no heart is too hard for God to soften. The same God who could bring water from a rock can bring life to a heart of stone. The invitation is always there. Turn back. It's a simple, yet profound call. It is a call to abandon our stubborn pride and return to the God who is rich in mercy and abounding in love. He's always searching, always waiting for a heart that is true. Let's pray that He finds that truth in us. Let's ask Him to give us teachable spirits and soft hearts, ready to receive His correction and walk in His ways. What happens when we start to believe that God won't act? It's a subtle but dangerous thought that can creep into our minds, especially when things aren't going our way or when we see injustice in the world. There's a powerful verse in the book of Jeremiah chapter 5 verse 12 that speaks directly to this. The people of Judah were in a really bad place spiritually, and the prophet Jeremiah points out a critical error in their thinking. He says, "They have lied about the Lord. They said, He will do nothing. No harm will come to us. We will never see sword or famine." Let's break that down. The people were essentially saying, God isn't going to intervene. All these warnings from the prophets, they're just empty threats. We can live however we want, and there will be no consequences. We're safe. They had convinced themselves that God was passive, indifferent, or maybe even powerless. They were lying about His very nature, reducing Him to a distant deity who doesn't get involved in the details of human life. This is such a relevant warning for us today. How often do we fall into a similar trap? Maybe we're struggling with a persistent sin, and we start thinking, well, God hasn't stopped me yet, so maybe it's not that big of a deal. Or perhaps we see corruption and greed seemingly winning in the world, and we begin to doubt if God really cares about justice. We might pray for something for weeks, months, or even years, and when we don't see an answer, we start to believe the lie. He will do nothing. This lie is so dangerous because it cuts the heart out of our relationship with God. If we believe God is inactive, why would we pray? Why would we seek His will? Why would we bother living a life that honors Him? It leads to a practical atheism, where we might say we believe in God, but we live as if He doesn't exist. It creates a false sense of security, just like the people in Jeremiah's time. They thought they were immune to disaster, but their disbelief was actually leading them straight toward it. The truth is, God is the complete opposite of passive. The entire Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, is the story of an active, involved, and sovereign God. He spoke the universe into existence. He rescued His people from slavery in Egypt with mighty wonders. He sent His Son, Jesus, to live, die, and rise again for our salvation. And He promises to return and make all things new. That doesn't sound like a God who will do nothing. So, what's the antidote to this lie? First, we have to immerse ourselves in the truth of who God is. That means getting into His Word and reminding ourselves of His character and His past faithfulness. Read the stories of Abraham, Moses, David, and the early church. See how God consistently showed up, often in unexpected ways, and not always on their timeline, but He always acted. Second, we need to be honest in our prayers. If you're feeling like God is distant or inactive, tell Him. He can handle your doubts and your frustrations. The psalmists did it all the time. Pouring out your heart to Him is an act of faith in itself, because it shows you still believe He's listening. Finally, we need to adjust our perspective. God's definition of action might be different from ours. We might be looking for a big, dramatic intervention, while He is working quietly behind the scenes, changing hearts, orchestrating circumstances, and working all things for the good of those who love Him. His silence is not absence, and His waiting is not inaction. He is always at work. So let's reject the lie that Jeremiah warned about. God is not a God who does nothing. He is active, he is present, and he is faithful. Let's trust in his character. Have you ever felt like you're just going through the motions? You show up, you do the things you're supposed to do, you say the right words, but deep down your heart isn't really in it. It's like putting on a performance for an audience, but the real you is somewhere else entirely. This feeling isn't new. In fact, it's a struggle as old as humanity itself. Thousands of years ago, the prophet Jeremiah spoke about this very issue. In Jeremiah chapter 3 verse 10, he says, "And yet for all this, her treacherous sister Judah has not returned to me with her whole heart, but in pretense." This was a powerful message from God to his people. They were performing all the right religious rituals. They were offering sacrifices, going to the temple, and outwardly, they looked like they were following God. But God saw straight through the performance. He saw that their hearts weren't truly with him. It was all a pretense, a fake show of devotion. Think about that for a moment. It's so easy for us to fall into the same trap today. We can go to church every Sunday, sing the worship songs, maybe even lead a small group or volunteer. We can post inspiring quotes on social media and say God bless you to our friends. We can look like the perfect Christian on the outside. But what's happening on the inside? Where's our heart, really? God isn't interested in our external performances. He's not impressed by how good we look to others. He's looking for something much deeper, something real. He's looking for our whole heart. He wants a genuine, authentic relationship with us. One that isn't just about checking boxes or keeping up appearances. So, what does it mean to return to God with our whole heart? It means being honest. It means admitting when we've been faking it. It means coming to him just as we are, with all our doubts, our struggles, and our mess. It's about tearing down the facade and saying, God, I've been trying to do this on my own, and it's not working. I need you. I want to give you my whole heart, not just the parts that look good. This kind of honesty can be scary. It feels vulnerable to admit that we don't have it all together. But here's the beautiful truth. That's exactly where God meets us. He doesn't turn away from our honesty. Embraces italiano. When we stop pretending, we open the door for a true transformation to begin. He can start to heal the broken parts of our hearts and fill us with a genuine love and passion for him that we could never manufacture on our own. If you've been feeling like you're just going through the motions, I want to encourage you today. You don't have to keep up the pretense. God sees you. He loves you. And he's inviting you into a deeper, more authentic relationship with him. Take a moment to be still and honest. Ask him to show you the areas where you've been holding back, where you've been faking it. Then, make the choice to turn to him with your whole heart. Not a partial heart, not a pretend heart, but your whole, true, authentic heart. That's where real life and real connection with God are found. It's a journey, not a one-time fix, but it's the most worthwhile journey you could ever take. Thanks for watching. If this message resonated with you, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content that dives deep into what it means to live an authentic life of faith. A feeling that I think we can all relate to at some point in our lives. A deep, profound sense of sorrow for the world around us. Have you ever looked at the news, or even just at what's happening in your own community, and felt this overwhelming wave of sadness? A feeling so strong it feels like it could just swallow you whole. If you have, you're not alone. There's a powerful verse in the book of Jeremiah that perfectly captures this emotion. It's in chapter 9, verse 1, where the prophet cries out, "Oh, that my head were waters, and my eyes a fountain of tears, that I might weep day and night for the slain of the daughter of my people." Can you feel the weight of that? This isn't just a fleeting sadness. This is a gut-wrenching, all-consuming grief. Jeremiah is so heartbroken by the sin, the rebellion, and the suffering of his people that he wishes he could physically transform into a source of unending tears. He wants to weep day and night. This imagery is so vivid, a head full of water, eyes like a fountain. It's the cry of someone whose heart is completely broken for the people he loves. Jeremiah is often called the weeping prophet, and for good reason. His ministry was set in a time of great turmoil for Judah. The people had turned their backs on God, embracing injustice and idolatry. Jeremiah was tasked with delivering a message they didn't want to hear, a message of impending judgment and a call to repentance. But his warnings weren't delivered with cold, detached anger. They were delivered through tears. He loved his people deeply, and it pained him to see them on a path to destruction. This verse teaches us something incredibly important about the heart of God. Jeremiah's sorrow wasn't just his own. It was a reflection of God's own grief. God doesn't delight in the downfall of people. His heart breaks when we stray, when we hurt each other, and when we suffer the consequences of our choices. Jeremiah's weeping shows us that true spiritual leadership, and indeed true love, is marked by compassion. It's about caring so much that the pain of others becomes your own. So, how does this apply to us today? We live in a world that is also full of brokenness. We see division, injustice, and pain all around us. It's easy to become numb to it all, to build walls around our hearts to protect ourselves from feeling too much. But Jeremiah's cry challenges us to do the opposite. It calls us to have hearts that are soft and compassionate. It's okay to be sad about the state of the world. It's okay to weep for the lost, the hurting, and the broken. In fact, that kind of godly sorrow is often the very thing that fuels us to action. When our hearts break for the things that break God's heart, we are moved to pray, to serve, to love, and to be a source of light and hope in dark places. It's that deep compassion that drives us to make a difference, not out of a sense of duty, but out of genuine love. Let's not be afraid to feel deeply. Let's ask God to give us a heart like his, a heart that is willing to weep, to care, and to love extravagantly. Because it's from that place of profound compassion that true change begins. Have you ever forgotten something really important? Like your keys, your wallet, or maybe even an anniversary? It happens to the best of us, right? But what if I told you there's something we forget that's far more significant, something that's woven into the very fabric of who we are? Let's look at a fascinating question from the book of Jeremiah, chapter 2, verse 32. It asks, does a young woman forget her jewelry, or a bride her wedding ornaments? Yet my people have forgotten me, days without number. Think about that for a second. Can you imagine a bride on her wedding day, forgetting her beautiful dress or the rings? It's almost unthinkable. Those items aren't just things. They represent a promise, a new identity, a deep and personal connection. They are symbols of love and commitment. A bride treasures these things, not just for their value, but for what they mean. The verse uses this powerful image to show us something profound about our relationship with God. He is saying that his connection with us is meant to be as precious and unforgettable as a bride's most cherished possessions. Yet, the verse says, my people have forgotten me, days without number. It's so easy to get caught up in the rush of life, isn't it? Our days are filled with work, school, family, friends, and endless to-do lists. Our attention gets pulled in a million different directions. And in the middle of all that noise, the quiet, steady presence of God can sometimes fade into the background. It's not usually a deliberate choice to forget. It's more like a slow drift. We get so busy that we forget to pray. We forget to read his word. We forget to just sit and be still with him. Forgetting God isn't like forgetting where you put your keys. It's more like forgetting who you are, because our identity is found in him. He is our creator, our redeemer, our source of strength and hope. When we forget him, we lose our anchor. We start to feel adrift, anxious, and disconnected, and we might not even realize why. We look for fulfillment in our achievements, in our relationships, or in our possessions, but we're left feeling empty. It's like the bride trying to feel complete without her wedding ornaments. The very symbol of her new life and love is missing. So, how do we remember? How do we keep from drifting? It starts with small, intentional choices every single day. It's like building any strong relationship. You have to make time for it. Maybe it's starting your day with a few minutes of quiet reflection or a short prayer. Just saying, good morning, God. Help me to be aware of you today. Maybe it's listening to worship music on your commute, or maybe it's setting a reminder on your phone to pause for a moment and thank him for something in the middle of your busy afternoon. It's about weaving our awareness of him into the fabric of our daily lives. It's about treating our relationship with him like the most precious treasure we own, because it is. He's our most beautiful ornament, the one that gives us our true worth and identity. The good news is that even when we have forgotten, God never forgets us. His love is constant, and His arms are always open, waiting for us to turn back and remember. He's not angry or disappointed. He's a loving father waiting for his child to come home. So today, let's make a conscious effort to remember. Let's cherish our connection with Him, like a bride cherishes her wedding attire. Let's not let another day go by where we forget the one who never, ever forgets us. Let's carry His presence with us, not as a heavy burden, but as our most beautiful and defining ornament. Thanks so much for watching. If this message resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more content like this. We'd love to have you as part of our community. Have you ever felt like you're heading in the wrong direction, but you just keep going anyway? It's a strange feeling, isn't it? Like, you should turn back, but something inside you says, nah, I'll just keep going. It'll be fine. This is a deeply human experience, and it's something the Bible talks about in a really powerful way. There's a verse in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 18, verse 12, that captures this feeling perfectly. The people of Judah are speaking, and they say, it's no use. We will continue with our own plans. We will all follow the stubbornness of our evil hearts. Now, that sounds pretty harsh, doesn't it? The stubbornness of our evil hearts. But let's break it down. It's not about being some cartoon villain. It's about that stubborn part in all of us that resists change, that clings to what's familiar, even when we know it's not good for us. Think about it in our own lives. It could be a bad habit we can't seem to shake, like scrolling on our phones late at night instead of getting the rest we desperately need. We know we'll be tired and grumpy the next day, but in that moment, the plan is just to keep scrolling. Or maybe it's a relationship that isn't healthy. Friends and family might point it out, and deep down you know they're right, but you stick with it, telling yourself, it's my life. I'll figure it out. That's the stubbornness of our hearts at play. We make our own plans and decide to follow them, no matter what. The context of this verse in Jeremiah is really important. God is speaking through the prophet Jeremiah, using the analogy of a potter and clay. He's saying, look, I am the potter, and you are the clay. I can reshape you. I can make something beautiful and new out of you, even if you feel broken or misshapen. God is offering a way out, a chance to be remolded and redirected. He's essentially saying, if you turn back from your destructive path, I will change my mind about the disaster I was planning for you. It's an incredible offer of grace and a second chance, but the people's response is, it's no use. They've given up. They've decided their own path is the only one they can or will follow. They've chosen their own stubborn plans over God's loving invitation to be transformed. It's a story of hopelessness, but it's a self-imposed hopelessness. They've shut the door on grace themselves. How many times do we do this? We get so stuck in our own ways, in our own plans, that we don't even hear the offer of a better way. We might be struggling with anxiety, anger, or just a general feeling of being lost. And God is there, like the potter, ready to gently reshape our lives, to bring peace and purpose, where there's chaos and confusion. But we say, it's no use. This is just who I am. I can't change. This verse isn't just a sad story about people from thousands of years ago. It's a mirror. It forces us to ask ourselves, where in my life am I saying, it's no use? Where am I choosing my own stubborn plans over the possibility of something better, something healthier, something more life-giving? The good news is that, unlike the people in Jeremiah's time, our story doesn't have to end there. The message of the potter and the clay is timeless. The offer to be reshaped is always on the table. It requires humility. It requires us to let go of our stubborn pride and say, okay, my plans aren't working. I'm ready to be the clay. I'm ready to be molded. It's about admitting that maybe we don't have all the answers. It's about trusting that the potter knows what he's doing, even when we can't see the final product. It's a step of faith. It's choosing hope over hopelessness. It's choosing to believe that change is possible, that a new beginning is available, no matter how far we've gone down the wrong path. So today, let's reflect on this. Let's identify those areas where we've been stubbornly following our own plans. And instead of saying it's no use, let's try saying, I'm willing. I'm willing to be changed. I'm willing to try a new way. I'm willing to trust the potter's hands. Because in that willingness, that's where true transformation begins. That's where we find hope. Have you ever felt like your life is just a mess of broken pieces? Like you've made so many mistakes that things can never be put right again? I know that feeling. It's a heavy weight to carry, thinking that your flaws and failures have defined you permanently. But I want to share something with you today that completely changed my perspective on this. It comes from a simple, yet incredibly powerful verse in the Bible. Jeremiah 18 verse 2. It says, "Arise and go down to the potter's house, and there I will cause you to hear my words." Now, why the potter's house? What's so special about that? Imagine standing in that dusty workshop. You see the potter, a skilled craftsman, with his hands covered in wet clay. He's at his wheel, and it's spinning. He takes a lump of clay. It's shapeless, lumpy, and honestly, not much to look at. But the potter sees something more. He sees potential. He begins to work it, his hands guiding, pressing, and shaping the clay. His focus is intense. He's not just making an object. He's bringing a vision to life. This is the picture God gives us of his relationship with us. We are the clay, and he is the potter. Sometimes we feel like that misshapen lump. We feel imperfect. Maybe we're carrying around the weight of past hurts, bad decisions, or failures. We look at ourselves and see all the things that are wrong. But God, the master potter, looks at us and sees what we can become. He sees the beautiful vessel he designed us to be. Now, think about what happens when the potter is working and the clay doesn't cooperate. Or maybe there's a hidden air bubble, an impurity, and the vessel gets marred in his hand. It becomes misshapen. It collapses. What does the potter do? Does he throw the clay away in frustration? No. The Bible tells us that he reshapes it. He gathers up that same clay, that ruined piece, and he begins again. He works with it, patiently and skillfully, until it becomes another vessel, as it seemed good to the potter to make. This is such a hopeful and beautiful image for our lives. When we feel marred, when we feel broken or messed up, God doesn't discard us. He doesn't say, "Well, that one's a lost cause." Instead, he gently gathers us back into his hands. His response to our brokenness isn't rejection. It's restoration. He sees our collapse not as a final failure, but as an opportunity to reshape us into something even more beautiful and useful than before. Maybe the original plan for that clay was a simple cup, but after being reshaped, it becomes an intricate vase. In the same way, sometimes our deepest pains and biggest failures become the very material God uses to shape us into people with more compassion, more strength, and more character than we ever could have had otherwise. The pressure, the spinning, the remolding it might not feel comfortable. In fact, it can be painful to be It means letting go of our own plans, our pride, and our broken pieces, and surrendering them to him. So, if you're feeling broken today, if you feel like your life is in pieces, I want to encourage you to go down to the potter's house, metaphorically, of course. Get into his presence. Allow his hands to be on your life. Trust that even when you feel marred and he's still at work. He hasn't given up on you. He is patiently and lovingly reshaping you into a vessel of honor, fit for his purpose. Your story isn't over. The master potter is at the wheel, and he's making all things new. Today, I want to talk about something really close to my heart. A concept that completely changed how I view my life, my struggles, and my purpose. It all comes from a powerful image in the Bible, found in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 8, verse 6. It says, "O house of Israel, can I not do with you as this potter does? Declares the Lord. Like clay in the hand of the potter, so are you in my hand." Just picture that for a moment. You and I are like clay in the hands of a master potter. Now, what does a potter do with clay? It's not always a gentle process, is it? The clay gets dug up, it gets pounded and kneaded to get all the air bubbles and impurities out. It's a messy, sometimes forceful process. And isn't that just like life? Sometimes we feel like we're being pounded, squeezed, and pushed around. We go through tough times, challenges that feel like they're breaking us. We might ask, why is this happening to me? Where is God in all this mess? But think about it from the potter's perspective. He's not doing this to destroy the clay. He's doing it to prepare the clay. He's making it pliable, strong, and ready to be shaped into something beautiful and useful. Every bit of pressure, every squeeze, has a purpose. He's getting out the lumps of pride, the air pockets of doubt, the stones of past hurts that would cause the final vessel to crack under pressure. So when you're feeling that pressure, maybe it's not a sign that you're being abandoned. Maybe it's a sign that you're being prepared. Then comes the spinning wheel. The clay is thrown onto the center of the wheel, and it starts to spin. Life can feel like that too, right? Spinning out of control. Things moving so fast we get dizzy. But notice, the clay isn't just spinning wildly. The potter's hands are right there, steady and firm. One hand on the inside, one on the outside. He's applying pressure, guiding it, shaping it. He's pulling it upward, forming it into his vision. This is such a beautiful picture of God's work in our lives. Even when everything feels like it's spinning, his hands are on us. He's shaping our character, molding our hearts, and making us into the person he created us to be. Sometimes we might resist. We might want to be a wide, shallow bowl, but he sees the potential for a tall, elegant vase. We have to learn to yield to his touch, to trust that he knows what he's doing, even when we can't see the final shape. And what happens if the vessel gets marred or misshapen on the wheel? Does the potter throw the clay away? No. The Bible says he reworks it into another vessel, as seemed best to him. That is the most hopeful part of this whole picture. If you're feeling like a lump of clay today being kneaded, spun around, or even going through the fire, I want to encourage you. You are in the hands of the master potter. He has a beautiful, unique design for your life. Trust his process. Yield to his touch. Know that he is shaping you into a vessel of honor, fit for his glorious purposes. He sees not just the lump of clay you are now, but the incredible masterpiece you are becoming. Have you ever felt like you've made a mistake so big that there is just no coming back from it? Or maybe you've been heading down a path for so long, doing things your own way, that you feel completely stuck, thinking, it's too late for me. There's no hope. If that resonates with you, I want to talk about a verse in the Bible that, at first glance, might sound really discouraging, but actually holds a powerful truth for us today. It's from Jeremiah chapter 18, verse 12. Let's set the scene. God sends the prophet Jeremiah to a potter's house. He watches the potter working with clay on a wheel. When the potter is making gets messed up, he doesn't just throw the clay away. No, he reshapes it, he works with it, and he turns it into something new, something useful, something beautiful. God uses this as a powerful illustration. He tells Jeremiah, like clay in the hand of the potter, so are you in my hand. He's saying, I am the master potter. I can reshape you. I can remold you. I can give you a new beginning, no matter how marred or misshapen you think you are. It's a message of incredible hope and second chances. But then, we get to the response of the people in verse 12. After hearing this incredible offer of grace and transformation, they say, it's no use. We will continue with our own plans. We will all follow the stubbornness of our evil hearts. Can you believe it? They basically look at God, the master potter, and say, thanks, but no thanks. We'd rather stay broken. We'd rather follow our own stubborn ways, even if they lead to destruction. They declare their own situation hopeless, not because God can't fix it, but because they refuse to be fixed. This is such a critical lesson for us. The only thing that can truly make our situation hopeless is our own stubborn refusal to turn to God. It's not the size of our sin, not the depth of our mistakes, not the mess we've made of our lives. God's grace is bigger than all of that. The potter's hands are skilled enough to reshape any lump of clay. The real barrier is a heart that says, it's no use. The real tragedy is when we convince ourselves that we are beyond repair and decide to keep walking in the wrong direction. Maybe you're listening to this today and you feel like that marred piece of clay. You feel the weight of your choices, the pull of old habits, and a voice in your head is whispering, "It's hopeless. You've gone too far." That voice is not from God. That is the same sentiment expressed by the people in Jeremiah's time. They chose hopelessness. But you have a different choice. The potter is standing right there, with his hands outstretched, ready to work in your life. He is ready to take the broken pieces, the stubborn patterns, the messy situations, and reshape them into something that brings him glory. The question is, will you let him? Will you surrender your own plans and your stubborn will and place yourself in his hands? Unlike the people in Jeremiah's day, we can respond differently. We can say, "Yes, Lord, I'm tired of my own plans. I'm tired of being stubborn. I don't want to be hopeless anymore. Take me, mold me, make me into what you want me to be." The hope is not in our ability to fix ourselves. The hope is in the potter's willingness and power to remake us. Don't declare your situation hopeless. Instead, declare your hope in the one who can make all things new. A powerful verse from the book of Jeremiah. It's Jeremiah, chapter 13, verse 16. And it says this, "Give glory to the Lord your God before he brings the darkness. Before your feet stumble on the darkening hills, you hope for light, but he will turn it to utter darkness and change it to deep gloom." Wow. That sounds pretty intense, doesn't it? Before he brings the darkness. It makes you pause and think, what does it mean to give glory to God? It's not just about singing songs on a Sunday morning, although that's part of it. It's about recognizing who he is in every single part of our lives. It's about acknowledging his power, his love, and his sovereignty, right here, right now. The verse paints a vivid picture, stumbling on darkening hills. Have you ever felt like that in No Primera Abi? Those times when life gets confusing, the path ahead isn't clear, and you feel like you're about to lose your footing. It's in those moments of uncertainty. Those moments, before the darkness fully sets in, that we have a crucial choice to make. We can either try to navigate it all on our own, relying on our own understanding, or we can turn to the source of all light and give him the glory. Giving God glory is like turning on the brightest flashlight in the darkest forest. It doesn't just illuminate the next step. It changes our entire perspective. It reminds us that we are not alone and that the one who created the mountains we stumbling on is right there with us. The verse says, "You hope for light, but he will turn it to utter darkness." This part is a warning. It speaks to a heart that hopes for light but refuses to acknowledge the source of that light. It's like wanting to enjoy the warmth of a fire without ever tending to the flames. If we only look for solutions, for a quick fix, for light on our own terms, without turning our hearts to God, that hope can fade. The light we were hoping for can turn into an even deeper gloom because we relying on our own flickering candle instead of the eternal sun. So what does this look like in our daily lives? Giving God glory can be as simple as starting your day with gratitude. Before your feet even hit the floor, just say, "Thank you, God." For a new day, it's about giving him credit for your successes at work or school. It's about trusting him with your worries instead of letting them consume you. It's about choosing kindness when you want to be angry. It's a constant, moment-by-moment choice to honor him. It's an invitation. Don't wait until things get difficult. Don't wait until you're completely lost in the dark to call out. Give glory to the Lord your God right now, in the light. Acknowledge his presence in the good times, and you will build a foundation of faith that will hold you steady when the hills start to darken. When you give him glory, you're not just avoiding darkness. You are actively walking in his incredible, unfailing light. That light doesn't just prevent stumbling. It guides you, comforts you, and leads you home. So today, let's make that choice. Let's give him the glory he deserves in everything we do. Thank you so much for watching. If this message resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more content like this. God bless you.